Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Bender. I'm the Cinematic Arts Manager at Oolite Arts, and I want to welcome you all to the first of two Q&As for our film Open Call Local Love Letters. I'm going to be going over our application process for submitting, and I'll also be joined by a special guest in just a little bit. We're both going to be sharing resources and answering any questions you might have. Speaking of questions, I'm going to be getting to them at the end of the presentation. So if you have any, please make sure you leave them in the Q&A feature, not the chat. I'll be answering all of them at the end. So also, if anybody's running late or can't make it for the whole presentation, this will be put up on our website later on today. So no worries either way. Just to give a little bit of a background on this, last fall, we partnered with City of Miami Beach to offer sustainability in action. And that contest encouraged filmmakers to submit ideas for 30 to 60-second PSAs about ways in which the city's working to reduce waste. And we received a ton of applications or proposals rather, and we were able to fund 10 filmmakers who all received $2,500 each. These PSAs went on to screen at a public event at Soundscape Park, and that was our first in-person film event since the pandemic started, which was pretty special. The goal with that program was to continue to get funding to local filmmakers, but really importantly for our artists to have agency in community topics that affect them day to day. So it's been a really fun run with our PSA contests, and we've had a really great time partnering with the City of Miami Beach. So naturally that had us thinking, what's next? And that's why y'all are here today. So what is Local Love Letters? As I just mentioned, our last PSA centered on efforts to keep Miami Beach clean and eventually zero waste. And thinking about Miami Beach and how special it is got us to wondering, what are the spots our local filmmakers hold near and dear on Miami Beach? And how can those spots be factored into short films being made by our community? So hence the latest Open Call Local Love Letters. So it's an open call short film contest. We want you to send us a brief pitch of your best short film ideas with only a couple of stipulations. So your film should be within 3 to 5 minutes long, and you have to use your favorite location on Miami Beach as one of your locations. We all have favorite spots on Miami Beach, so you're going to be showing us what yours is. The film doesn't need to be about that location. You're just utilizing it as one of the locations on your film. And in addition to partnering with City of Miami Beach, we've also received generous funding from the Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Family Foundation. We're going to be awarding 10 filmmakers $5,000 each to create their 3 to 5 minute short film. That's an increase to what we've done in the past. And on top of the $5,000, Oolite's also going to be providing funds towards you getting insurance to film. So that would not come out of your $5,000 budget. Are you eligible? It's pretty simple. The contest is open to filmmakers in Miami-Dade and Miami Beach. You have to be over the age of 18, and you have to use your favorite Miami Beach spot as one of the locations in your film. So if you have a great story and the ability to get it made in cinematic form, we obviously would love to see your pitch. I've mentioned this in a couple of info sessions before. By cinematic form, what we mean is it must be a film. But that's about the only restriction. It can be animated, it can be claymation, it can be documentary, narrative, hybrid film, experimental, whatever works best for your practice to make this short film. You're going to have a little under 2 months. So once you are awarded the funds, you want to keep that in mind. Whatever you propose, you want to be conscientious of the amount of time you'd have to film it. Go to the next slide. So application, it's up, it's live, so you can already access it. But if you're wondering about the process, it's pretty straightforward. You have to answer a couple of questions, submit your CV, and also provide an optional work sample. It is optional, but it always is a benefit for jurors to see what your work looks like. So you're first some of the questions that we ask are, you're gonna give a log line of your short film. It should be 50 words or less. You're gonna tell a summary of your idea in 100 words or less. And consider that this is your creative brainchild. So tell us what it would look and feel like. That's in 150 words or less. You're going to want to share who your ideal audience is, again, 100 words or less, and not listed on this list, but something you'll hear me repeat a couple more times is you're going to want to list your Miami Beach location or locations if you choose to use several. Where do you want that to be? So I'll go a little deeper into that in a second, but just those simple questions, your CV and an optional work sample, and then you've officially submitted. It is not a long application at all. So, tips on applying. Number one question we always get asked is, what are the jurors looking for? And in previous open calls, there was a pretty obvious theme, whether it was about mask wearing, Biscayne Bay, or sustainability on Miami Beach. Here, we're just asking you to pitch whatever story you'd like. It's your story. So as long as you're utilizing your favorite spot or spots on Miami Beach as a location in the film, you're good to go. We want your unique perspective as an artist, so pitch a story that only you could pitch. Jurors aren't looking for any specific genre or format. So as I mentioned before, could be a documentary, could be a narrative, could be experimental, could be a hybrid. If it's a comedy, that's cool. If it's a horror film, that's fine. And as I mentioned before, animators are more than welcome to apply. So your favorite location can absolutely be animated. What else? If you don't have access to fancy equipment, it's fine. This is open to filmmakers with a great idea and the ability to make it a reality. It doesn't matter to us if it's shot on an iPhone or if it's on a fancy camera. Do what's best for your project, but you will have to keep it between 3 to 5 minutes. So again, make sure that your pitch is realistic for the time limit that the film has to be within. And then I mentioned I'd go a little bit into detail about location. As I mentioned before, we want you to pick your favorite spot in Miami Beach and use it as one of the locations. So you want to elaborate on what that spot is. Is it a neighborhood? Is it a specific park? Is it on the water, under the water? Is it at your favorite restaurant? Just paint a picture. It's really valuable to the jurors that they understand what your vision is. So with that being said, if your favorite spot happens to be a business, please know that this short film should not feel like an advertisement for this business. It's okay that you utilize a business, but it should just be a location, not an ad spot for that location. And last thing, for anyone wondering what the beach entails, it starts at South Point and goes all the way to 87th Street. So the north edge of Oceanside Park is going to be your visual marker. If you propose something outside of the beach, you're technically ineligible. So just be mindful of that as well. Okay, I'm going to the next slide. Okay, right. Okay, all applications have to be submitted by March 7th. You can see it on all these slides at the bottom. It's going to be due at 6 p.m. So you have a little under 3 weeks from today to propose your idea. And we'll send every single eligible application we receive to an independent jury of filmmakers and film professionals who review them. So while I review the applications to make sure they meet eligibility criteria, Oolite Art staff is not on the jury. So it's an independent jury of filmmakers and film professionals. The jurors are going to review the applications in March. They'll deliberate in April, and then we'll be announcing the winners in early April. So if you're one of those winners, you have from early April until May 31st to shoot. So not a full 2 months, but pretty close. And then at some point this summer, we'll again screen those 10 films in person together. And I'll obviously update on details as we have them. I'm going to put a link into the chat. You can get more information on our FAQs page, which you can access on our website. I think I've said a good amount, so I'm going to stop here to see if anyone has any questions. And while I do that, we should be joined in just a second by Franco Gonzalez. He should be hopping on any moment now. So any questions so far? I don't see any, so hopefully we're just being really, really descriptive and answering all your questions by presenting. And if I do get some while Franco hops on, we'll try and answer them as we go. Maybe I'll give a little bit of background on him while we wait. As I mentioned, Franco, oh, here he is.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So I was just about to intro you. Franco Gonzalez was one of our Sustainability in Action PSA winners. We'll talk to him a little bit about his experience. His PSA was called Trash Monster, and it received the most votes for the People Choice Award as well. I'm actually going to drop that link into the chat for anyone that wants to watch it post-presentation. But Franco, tell our guests a little bit about your background in filmmaking.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
So in terms of background, I'll give you the short cliff notes. So originally raised in Miami, then moved out to LA to go to grad school. And that's where I've been for a long time. And then from there, always kept working in Miami and whatnot. I went to Art Center. Then from there, I started at NBC Universal, one of their cable networks, doing digital. Then from then on, I moved on to one of their small production companies to work on indies, produced a few. Then from then on, just branched out on my own and started working in digital, started working on some different shows, show running a few things, or food shows, also working on some travel show. But at the same time, building my business and, kind of expanding my, cinematic voice and whatnot. And so just before the pandemic hit in 2019, I got an opportunity to come back to Miami to work on a branding project for one of the networks. And I've been here since, and I love it.
That's amazing. We're so glad to have you as part of our community and get to hang out with you last weekend and also at the sustainability screening. It's been really nice. Let's talk. Oh, whoops, I forgot to even put your slide up to let everyone know.
Hey, there it is.
There we are. So maybe I've gone through this whole presentation of what this application looks like. I don't know if you caught part of it, but some of the exciting updates, we've gotten a lot of feedback about what filmmakers want more of, and obviously more money is always one of them. So we've upped the budget for this, and then we've also included side funds to go towards insurance so that the filmmakers aren't dipping into their own budget for that. So, maybe let's talk about your application process, making your PSA, and then what the process looked like on the tail end. But tell me about when you applied. What was the application process like for you? What were you thinking?
So initially when I saw the call, and this happens with all my projects, I get really excited about it first. And then I go through mild anxiety in terms of the idea, right? What the idea is. But I think what resonated with me about this project is that it was in Miami Beach, which was where I live, but also it was about something that I really deeply care about. And so it was easy for me to kind of get the ball rolling in that sense. And so,
no pun intended, if anyone's seen your PSA.
Look at that. So good. So good. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so since it resonated with me, it was just easy to come up with ideas, but also just something that spoke to me directly, and something that I could also just tie into my own cinematic vision, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And that's something we encourage people to really do, is like, don't try and tell someone else's story. Tell a story that resonates with you, because it'll translate really well in the application because you feel passionate about it.
Absolutely. And I think that was the wonderful thing about all the pieces that were selected, is that they were all about the single topic, but not every other one was just completely different than the other ones, because of everyone's life experience, everyone's cinematic vision, etc. So I think that was a wonderful thing about this process. And in terms of the application process, it was after I came up with the initial concept. I did submit more than one, honestly, and I think the one that was selected was the one that I was more, in a sense, scared me the most in terms of producing, because of budget, et cetera, and just, getting a production off the ground in a short amount of time. So I'm actually glad because, it definitely stretched me out and touched out my capacity and my bandwidth. And so in terms of the process, after I came up with the initial nugget of what this thing was about, and, just letting it ruminate and, getting a playlist going, doing the research, et cetera, getting what this thing was going to look like and or what it was going to feel like more so, in order to convey that on the page. The process was easy breezy, honestly. It was, the log line was, distilling it to its core, which I had already done. And so also the description was also, kind of a seamless process. That's where I could actually tell what the story would be about, and also just convey and get other people excited about it. I think if it doesn't excite me, or if it's not easier for me to explain to somebody, or pitch to somebody as I'm casually talking, and can tell from the reaction, then it's not going to transfer well. And I think that's what I use to my advantage in terms of trying it out on people, or also just working on previous pitch decks or whatnot. That's also something that I do. Post selection is something that can help me convey that vision, right?
Yeah, and I like the idea of like running this by several people, because again, we have all these amazing ideas in our heads, and then when we explain it to someone's like, I don't get it, or someone's like,
Exactly.
oh my God, that's the one, you should definitely do that one.
Exactly. So
oh,
go ahead.
No, you.
So I definitely workshopped, at least, the log line, or just the core of the ideas, by several people that I trust, obviously. And so the two that I submitted were the ones that got the most reaction. And also something that also helped me just working in advertising, or just working in film, is getting a pitch deck together. It was nothing that I had to submit, obviously, or something that was required, but it was something that helped me bring other people on board, in terms of letting them know what the vision is, getting buy-in from them, whether it's talent, or a certain DP that I want to work with, or a production designer, or just even family members that are going to help out. And so that is also something, a really good tool that I like to use, just for them. It's easy. It's also just easy to send it. You don't have to over explain yourself. You put your thoughts on the page, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like, and then it just gets people on board.
And I'm curious, because you said you had a lot of ideas, which, by the way, if anyone's wondering, you are more than welcome to submit more than one idea. I definitely draw the line of, if somebody's submitting 5, 6, 7, 8, then it gets a little crazy. So pick your best ideas. Franco does that. But when you were proposing stuff, did you think we were looking for something specific? Obviously, there was thematically something, sustainability in action, but did you think that we were looking for a very specific type of PSA, or what were your thoughts on that?
No, I think the wonderful thing about it is that I submitted something that just resonated with me. And thankfully it resonated with the folks that were selecting. And so I think what the key to that is that it was true to me, honestly. And I think that's what I think, and as well as the other filmmakers, it was true to them and their experience. So I think that's what helped me put it over the edge or whatnot.
And maybe for anyone that hasn't seen your PSA, obviously I plugged the link into the chat, but do you want to give like a brief little pitch of what it was?
Sure. So it's and the origin story of a unique monster, right? And the consequences of what happens when we don't do our part to keep our beaches up, something along those lines.
Yeah, and I get asked this a couple of times, almost every info session, but like someone's like, well, what do you mean by logline? Something like that would be perfect. It's just a quick little blip to get people wondering and wanting to see more. And so as I mentioned before, you're the People Choice winner for the Sustainability in Action PSA contest. So what do you think about your PSA appealed to viewers? Obviously, we know why we liked it, you know why we chose it and why you submitted it, but what do you think about it? What do you think appealed to audiences?
I think that's a good question, because I think from the very beginning, I wanted something that would connect with people, resonate with people emotionally, intellectually, right? And I think that is actually the key for, for cinema as a whole, right? If it hits you here and it hits you here and it hits you down there as well, you know? And so that's what, from the very beginning, is something that I wanted to convey. I wanted to, make people think, but also entertain them, because obviously we work in entertainment. And so something that would be palatable, but also, had a message, and as well as, entertain them and use some, cinema and film to tell this visual story. And also I wanted something that you could watch without sound, without music. So I wanted to use, just straight up cinematic storytelling, and then obviously adding the sound and the music, but you could actually, just like a silent film, that you could
about that.
enjoy without watching.
You're so smart. I didn't even think about that. No, but yours felt very nostalgic and sweet and beautiful, but also with like a hint of sadness, where you
Thank you.
really
Yes.
felt the consequences of your actions. I have a couple of questions that are coming in that I'm going to just answer, and then I have one more for you, Franco. One of our attendees asked if only Miami-Dade residents are allowed to apply. Yes, you have to be a Miami-Dade resident. While you can love Miami Beach, even if you've moved away from Miami Beach, you have to live in Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade does encompass Miami Beach. So if you're a Miami Beach resident, yes, you're welcome to apply. So I'm going to mark that as answered. And then I had another attendee ask, can two filmmakers produce the project? And if so, would it be an issue if one is from Broward County? So I have an interesting way of answering that. It's fine if one of the two, if it's co-directors, is from Broward County. However, for any applications that we do at Oolite, only one person can receive the grant. So say Franco and I are co-directors for a project. I live in Broward and Franco lives in Miami. Franco can apply, it'll be under his name, and he'll be acknowledged as the winner. Even if we co-direct, you can put your name in the credits, you can acknowledge your co-director, but only one person can receive the funding for this. So I hope that answers your question. If I'm a little vague on that, or if you need me to elaborate, please feel free to email me or sign up for one of my info sessions. But I think that should cover it. And then somebody asked, if you have two projects or more that you're passionate about, could you submit them in the off chance that one gets picked? Absolutely. As Franco mentioned, he submitted more than one. One of his two got picked. So you're more than welcome to submit more than one application for it. And I think I'm covering those questions. So I have one more question for you, Franco. And if anybody has any last questions, please plug them in and I'll get to them ASAP. But for the filmmakers that are in attendance, what advice would you give to a filmmaker applying?
Oh man, how long we got? I think what has helped me, what has helped me just kind of along the journey is resilience, right? But specifically about this project, yes, definitely resilience. Also, just as indie filmmakers, beg, borrow, steal. But also, I think what has helped me also just in this project is having a clarity of that vision, right? That's going to help me execute it. That's also going to help me get people on board, right? And ideas can come from anywhere, but in terms of execution, I think that's where the resilience comes in, and I think that's where your tenacity is displayed. And I think Yeah, I think those are very, very important in terms of, getting this project to see the light of day, because so many filmmakers just give up throughout the process. And, including myself, it's just projects that I have on the long run, or projects that are on the short term, and that sort of thing, in terms of seeing it all the way through.
That's great advice. Thank you. Although Oolite does not condone stealing at all, but yeah.
Sure, exactly.
JK.
Exactly.
Just
Yes,
kidding.
check.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, Franco. I appreciate it. We'll obviously be staying in touch, and hopefully we'll see you when we do screen these short films. It'll be sometime this summer, but it does not look like anyone else has any questions. So Franco and I'll have Franco sign off, and I'll stay on for another second. And if anyone has any questions, I'll answer it. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us, and good luck if you're going to apply too.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
See you soon. Bye.